Hello there. Euro paper time, where we listen in on what the newspapers are saying as opposed to the other way around, as has been the custom of late. This week, Champions League group games leaving despair and delight across Europe in their wake. And let's start off with Manchester City. Now, good news for the citizens. A couple of years ago, no one would have thought twice about beating you 2-1, but now it's a cause for national celebration. Just take a look at the Italian reaction to Napoli's 2-1 win against City this week in the game they're all calling the derby of teams that play in light blue and that used to be in the third division not long ago. Here's Il Mattino, legendary Napoli, they say. Super Cavani lays out City. Corriere dello Sport, immense Napoli. Gazzetta dello Sport, Stranapoli, beyond Napoli. They must speed up the pictures when they show us Man City on TV, says La Stampa, meanwhile, rather cattily. Otherwise, how to explain why they were so slow in movement, in passing and in thought when we saw them live at the San Paolo? Well, it's a very good question. Meantime, the Gazzetta dello Sport quote the Napoli owner, Aurelio De Laurentiis, saying, "You can't get everything with money." And inside their editorial says, "This is a team from a troubled land, from a city in a permanent state of emergency." This is Napoli there talking about here, where on the same day that Hamzic won, his wife gets held up at gunpoint. This is a town then that emerges with triumph, but more than a triumph for Napoli, it's a pat on the back for the entire country. Well, my word. Of course, Napoli do still have to go to Villarreal and win, but La Repubblica says if they do that, then they will have served for nothing the millions spent on Man City, the knotted scarves of Mancini, the bloodless colts they've assembled. Better the Italian stallions, better the donkeys of Naples. Well, lovely to see this week so many people offering credit to the Italians and, even more strangely, to the Portuguese, because City weren't the only Premier League team in trouble, of course. Their neighbours United continued to make hard work of the softest group since steps by drawing 2-2 at Old Trafford with Benfica. And once again, the reaction fairly euphoric in the Portuguese press. Benfica were really great, says Record. This time we didn't lose at Old Trafford. Is Apoel. Benfica shuts up Old Trafford, and Corriere da Manhã tastes like victory. Indeed it does, because Benfica are now through and they can seal first place in the group ahead of Man U if they can win their final group game against Otel Galati, and even United beat them. Well, the other Premier League side in some difficulty this week, of course, are Chelsea, and the bad news for them is that their next opponents are Valencia, who only went and won 7-0 this week against Genk. Here's the paper's reaction back in Valencia. Las Provincias says it's a historic win. Interesting photo there of the players looking like they've just seen Samir Nasri's underwear. The explanation, though, is that they're actually doing a comedy reenactment of a scene that morning at the hotel when they accidentally let off a hotel fire extinguisher. Man City should buy them, stick them in with Balotelli. Super Deporte, meanwhile, goes with everyone to London. Our last game at Stamford Bridge is now life or death, says the paper, and they go with a massive picture there, rather scary one too, of Roberto Soldado, the captain of the team, and very much the hero, with 2 goals at the weekend against Real Madrid and another 3 now against Genk. The paper echoing the crowd's chant of Soldado Selección, Soldado Selección, Soldado to the national team. Of course, fat chance of that, because ahead of him in the pecking order is Chelsea's Fernando Torres. Ooh. Now, other Champions League news. Marca go with 6-2 rat-a-ta-ta-ta-ta, after Real Madrid's 6-2 win over Dinamo. That's their 12th straight victory, says the paper. And they point out that's even better than Pep Guardiola managed. The next day, rather perplexingly, they went with this. Karim Benzema dressed up as Puss in Boots. Throw Rooney and Tony Adams in there, you'd have the full set. There is an explanation, of course, they say underneath. It's a year now since Jose Mourinho described selecting Benzema as like hunting with a cat. Well, since then, he's contributed 32 goals. Puss has got his boots on. Or Karim's got the cat, if you prefer. Well, that's about it for today, but we can't leave you without a quick salute for plucky Cypriot side Apoel Nicosia, who this week indeed made history by becoming the first team from Cyprus into the last 16. That's the Cyprus Mail there. Here's the local sports paper Goal News with "I live in a dream." Great quote from the manager here. "We may be a small European team, but we are great at heart and we deserve our place among the continent's best." Of course, the Apoel side booking their place with a 0-0 draw in St. Petersburg, which sent the fans bananas, if you'll excuse the expression. Thousands of them taking to the streets of Nicosia. Here are some of them in what you can only describe really as an apple cart. Hope this fellow doesn't lean out too much. It could tip. But the celebrations continuing until dawn as they let off fireworks and honked and all that kind of thing. Sounds like quite a night. Well done to them. The greatest Apple surprise, of course, since Sir Isaac Newton, probably. And a fitting end to this week's paper review. We'll be back with more Euro papers in 7 days' time, so hopefully you'll be joining us then.